5, 4, 3.
It's showtime.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Welcome to the party, pal!
See you at the party, Richter.
I didn't kill my wife!
I don't care!
Get away from her, you bitch!
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
You did not going to say that, did you? What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
To do the binds.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Inconceivable!
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
This is a tasty burger.
Face.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
I'm the bad guy?
And hold. Smash.
I can speak with an English accent.
Hit the hash pipe and join the National Guard. I could be elected president.
You went over my helmet?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
I know, right?
The list is in the open!
Hey, where are the white women at?
They're digging in the wrong place.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Are you not entertained?
Second start of the ride. And straight on till morning.
Meow.
You son of a bitch.
1.21 gigawatts!
Wax on, wax off.
Oh my goodness, I am sporting a tremendous woody right now.
Bartender is the aristocrat of the working class.
You're gonna flip 6 3-hole play and you could score.
Cover me.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
On this team, we fight for that itch.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
No ticket.
No ticket.
I get older, they stay the same age.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. He's 15.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe. As always, I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate, Oh My Feelings. How are you, sir?
Episode 2, 0 for 2 on the intro.
Shut up.
Shut up. For the year. Side note.
Shut up.
We have our little special time during the intro, Beth.
Yeah.
And the intro the new intro threw me off completely. What the hell was that?
Really? Again?
Forgot about it again.
All right, cool. What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie. You watch it, come back to us. And we just talk about it, break it down for you, and just love talking about movies in general, right? I've been trying to mull on how to do the intro correctly, and I don't have, it's been, 180 something, 81 episodes.
Yeah.
Probably I've done them all, and I still haven't got a single thing down to where I wanted it to be. And it's such a bane to my existence. I want to say that I think about it every single day of the week. I don't really. Not on the intro. On other stuff for the show, I do. But let bygone be bygone. Because we're in the new year. Hollywood is burning-ish.
Yes,
but not this show.
If you look at the continental United States right now, it's what? So the East Coast is frozen and the West Coast is on fire.
Well, it's a song of ice and fire. Let's just call it that. All right. Let's just
with how Hollywood is, yeah, they would be the Targaryens, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, okay. Putting that aside, I hope everybody who is not a celebrity that got affected is okay, and hopefully will rebuild your life, because I don't really like to see stuff burning, like people losing their house is not good. It's not good, whether the celebrity or not celebrity.
Talk about a very controversial statement, Meth.
What? I don't like people's
like people's houses burning. Wow, Meth, for the real hot take over here.
Thank you. You know what's crazy? In certain areas, it is a hot take. But this is the month of January. Cold or hot, depending on which hemisphere in the world you are, or whether you're on the west or eastern side of the seaboard of the U.S., this is the Reel McCoy. And this month is All My Feelings birthday month, which your birthday's coming up right around the middle of next week. But we'll put that aside, mister. We kind of figured out, well, we're going to put a month where there is no theme to the month. However, what we do want to do is have a few movies that we've talked about for many, many years at this point, and we couldn't get around to actually making it happen. So this is a great opportunity to stuff in all these movies. Last week, we did Old Boy. This week, we are doing a Scanner Darkly that came up on the on the Screen Fighter many times because it's such a special kind of movie where it's not really live action and it's not really animated. It's a combination of both, which we're gonna get to in a bit. And it's very unique because it's the first of its kind and it's the last of its kind, which is for many different reasons we're going to get to in a bit. We're going to get to in a bit. Okay. So
first, let's Scott Westbrook, thank you.
Well, I'm getting to it. Hold on. Don't jump the gun. All right. We'll say hello to everybody here. We'll say hello to Juliet. We'll say hello to the Wrench of Wrenches, Paul Harley, Keely Chow, Roll Tide, my brother. We've got Kaliki Oki running in and Sander Hammerschlag and all of the Salty Nerd podcast raid coming in, whether you've been sent here or just came over here. We're glad to see you. Welcome, everybody. Strap in because this is a fun one. And of course, we'll say hello to Scott Westbrook, who sent us a lovely thumbs up sticker, and Jillian H, formerly Jillian N, who gave us 5 gifted subscription to all of the people in the chat. Congratulations, Jillians. Not Jillians. God damn it. Congratulations, Jillian, on your nuptial. Welcome to married life. I wish you nothing but health and happiness, because those are the most important things in life.
Big old fingers crossed for you, sis.
Stop being negative. Stop being negative. Don't be negative. This is the honeymoon stage. Never no more negativity. You can do it like in about 5 months. You can start doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody here in the chat. Let's get it started with a little segment we like to call Behind the Screen.
Sound production, take 2.
Woo! Whoa! Before we start, Jillian coming in with the super chat. I don't want to stop, so we're going to do it here. Greetings to everyone and sensational Saturday to all. Thank you. I just got married. Any advice from the panel and the chat is very much welcome. Thank you and congratulations as well. First of all, like I said, congratulations. I wish you health and happiness. You would want the advice maker to be me, and All My Feelings would shut the fuck up.
I just have one big D under my belt, and not that kind.
Yes, and I would say this. To any married couple, marriage and any relationship that is close-knit, as in the man and the wife are living together under one roof for a long time, or even at the start, doesn't really matter. There will always be some sort of a compromise. Being on the side of compromise doesn't mean you are on the weaker side or on the wrong side or being, we'll call it screwed over. But it's a partnership that is 50-50. And no matter which side you're on what you're doing on your 50th side, don't look on the other side and say, he's doing a 49 or he's doing a 45 and I'm doing 55. It's all about compromise. And you will find the stuff that you're good at that you will do more, and the other side will do less, and vice versa. It's the same with me and my wife. I'm pretty good with some things and I'm pretty bad with other things. So, and there's always that compromise, whether it's spoken compromise or, it's we'll call it on the underline, on the suburb side, on the sub side of things where you don't actually talk, but you get him and he gets you, and it's fine. When that gets stuck, that's where problems kind of start. But I'm not going to talk about the negative here, just the positive. A lot of compromise.
Also, Meph, I know your wife. I don't think anyone can actually win an argument with her, to be fair.
It's not about winning an argument. I'm not saying I'm not talking about argument.
Buddy, I'm trying to make a joke.
I'm talking about the little things. Like who's going to do the dishes? Who's going to do the laundry? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I am a lazy mofo. I am. But I'm working on it every single day. It used to be that Mrs. Meth should have told me, do the dishes. I would go do the dishes. I don't mind. But I'm in a position where I don't think about, I need to do the dishes. No. But that was the start. And as things kind of progressed, she felt comfortable not saying anything. I felt comfortable doing certain things, every so often. She's stronger in doing more bureaucracy stuff. I'm pretty weak at that. It works out. It really works out. So I wish you really nothing but health and happiness, and everything else kind of falls into line. When those two things exist, it really does kind of fall in line. When the happiness thing kind of falls apart, that's where the negative stuff kind of goes into a tailspin sometimes. But
can confirm on that.
Yeah. But I do wish you all the best. With me and All My Feelings had a internet friend that got married recently, and she seems completely happy because she is off the fucking internet. She is off the fucking internet.
Yep. I've heard from her. Meth, I've literally heard from her twice.
Yes, me too. I've heard of her once, and just to say thank you for something I said.
Yeah.
So, and I really hope everything works out, but just positivity. This show is, we kind of built this show on positivity and not going into the being so overly criticizing of things that are happening out there in the world. And I would like to keep it that way. Keep politics off, keep real life off. Yeah, we kind of started with the LA fires thing, but it's really, I want to stay as positive as possible. I know it's kind of indicative of working against YouTube, where YouTube kind of wants you to be like rage bait stuff. I really want to avoid it as much as humanly possible. All right, let's do the show because we're behind the screens, and we're talking about behind the screens. We're going to All My Feelings and we're going to do the DX thing.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. All My Feelings, take it away. I've been talking way too much.
Okay. So to start off, obviously it is based off of the story by Philip K. Dick. And originally Richard Linklater gave up on adapting it because he thought it was actually going to be too difficult. And so what he thought was going to be easier was to adapt a story called Ubik, which Ubik will come up later actually in the actual film. But he eventually ended up coming back to it. But in the interim, there were actually two other actual prolific directors that actually wanted to make it. One,
who?
Terry Gilliam wanted to make one in the early 90s.
Oh, man. I hate when you get that good information and it don't.
Yeah. And the other one, Mr. Charlie Kaufman. It could work as a Kaufman movie. It really could.
It would. It would.
It
definitely
would work as a Kaufman movie. It really would.
You remember where we talked about to put like adaptation in this month, and you specifically said, "No, Meph, we're gonna do just the movies that you want to do in my month." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're completely right."
Yeah. So Linklater.
Before you continue, Paul, I'm working on it. Continue.
So Linklater didn't actually want it to be a blockbuster, so he kept the budget to distinctly. He wanted it to be under $10 million, so he could specifically have more control and make it more faithful to the actual novel itself, and actually make it animated to make a lot more of the scenes pop, especially like just in the start with the aphid scene, and then the obviously the giant roach scene.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, so after making School of Rock, Linklater directly petitioned the daughters of Philip K. Dick and got their approval to make the film. After they read the original.
Yeah, they read the script, and it was kind of written on the sides where it says animated, and they were not really feeling it. Where it was like, what do you mean both, like adapting it faithfully and making it animated? They didn't understand that. But yeah.
But we're gonna get to that, because the Rotoshop program is very interesting. But we're gonna get to it.
Okay.
So Keanu Reeves was interested, as well as Harrelson and Ryder, after reading the script. That's what got them in. And Reeves and Ryder actually took scale for SAG for the role.
Yeah. When I read that, I tried to find to see if RDJ and Woody Harrelson took scale. Never found anything about it, but I think they both did it as well on scale.
I think they must have.
Because the budget was way too low. The original budget, you're probably going to touch upon it, but the original budget was way too low.
I think
for them not
the original
to
budget
take
was
scale.
only 5.8 million, but it ballooned to 7.3 due to animation.
I have different numbers. I have 6.7 to 8.7, but okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's roughly the same. It's not. It's not a big deal.
Well, the most important thing is this movie. It was a bomb. It was a bomb. There was no return on investment. Yeah,
there's a massive reason for
it.
Oh
yeah, because they put it all between like one of the biggest sequels of that entire year, and also another one of the big box office hits of the year on the same weekend. Like, yeah, duh. Anyway,
we'll get to that at the end.
So RDJ signed on once he heard that Reeves and Linklater were on board. Like and also he found the script fascinating, but he was also, this is the most infuriating but interesting script I've ever read.
Nice.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it.
Rory Cochrane. So it's people getting into roles. Rory Cochrane. The reason why he got brought on was, first of all, he was in Dazed and Confused.
Yes. But he adamantly wanted to play a character that is genuinely not the Dazed and Confused character.
Not the Dazed and Confused character, yes. Which, in a way, Charles Freck is not that character.
Definitely.
They're both kind of druggies in their own way, but not...
Well, once we do Dazed and Confused, hint.
Yes.
We're gonna maybe bring it up.
We will.
Yeah.
But how he got the mannerisms from Charles Freck? He got them by looking in a mirror 5 minutes before they began shooting.
That's great.
He just fucking went with it.
Nice. I thought it was like, has he seen one of those people who take too many psychedelics and maybe try to do that? But no.
Or having fits? No. He just fucking ran with it.
It looks like a character from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but not really.
Oh, yeah. Like, because it looks like he actually has a nervous tick.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Yeah.
So RDJ would actually write out his dialogue in run-on sentences. then he would condense those into acronyms and put those acronyms on Post-it notes on set.
Interesting. Okay.
And you know why you can never see them?
Oh, I know.
Because the animators wrote them.
If we're talking about that, like tangentially, when they were filming the live action, especially in the house, all the house scenes, they didn't care if there was no makeup. They didn't care if the audio equipment was visible. They didn't care if the lighting equipment was more visible. All they cared about was the color palette that would be distinct between the house and the actors, and all the rest of it, they just didn't care at all.
Which we have to give credit to. I have it in my notes. I just lost it now.
Shane Kelly, the cinematographer.
Shane Kelly, yes, the cinematographer. That was his major job, was to make sure that the lighting was color accurate, and they even brought on the animators on set to make sure that it was color accurate to fit later on, which is by far the animation studio that got the work had to give them the utmost credit, because they just gave them just full license to actually tell not only the cinematographer but also the DP, like, no, you need to frame your shot differently, because otherwise it won't actually color correct and frame right when we animate it. Like, that's power for an animator.
It's probably not the actual down to earth animators that were there, but we'll touch upon that when we get to the animation.
We'll touch upon that.
You're probably talking about the animation project leaders, but yeah.
Well, I'm talking more about Rob Shep, obviously, but yeah.
Project leader.
Yeah. But so Reeves actually depended directly on the novel, and he would actually take different bits of the script in his version of the actual story and put in what page they were on his script, so he could actually refer back to the novel every single time he was looking at a scene. Give Reeves credit. And actually, Linklater thought that he wouldn't take the role after being in The Matrix. He thought, there's no way he's going to be in another sci-fi film.
Yeah, he offered the role, and he was like, probably doesn't want to do another sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And when I read that for the research, I was like, have you seen Johnny Mnemonic? I mean, he did Johnny Mnemonic, and then he, after a few failed films, he did The Matrix out of necessity. So, yeah.
Yep. So
continue, please.
So animation overall.
Oh, this is a fun bit. This is like a page of notes.
So for shooting, overall, it only took 6 weeks.
Yep.
In the can, ready to go.
Yeah.
Then animation took 18 months.
Wait, hold on with that thought. I'm going to add one piece of information.
Sure.
They did a 2-week rehearsals in Austin, Texas, where they actually shot the interior house shots. And during those rehearsals, everything you said about RDJ, Keanu Reeves, Ryder, all that stuff, it all came from those 2 weeks of rehearsals before they started the shoot. So everything was kind of coalescing in terms of Linklater's script, the novel notes, and everything the actors got through the input in order to make that sort of cohesive script to shooting 2 weeks ahead of time. Well, technically in those 2 weeks of rehearsals. That's why the 6-week shoot was like done quick.
Yeah, and also, to be fair, the discovering like what location they should shoot at for the live shots. In Austin, they went over to 60 different houses to find "quote unquote" Bob's house. I mean, like they did their fucking on-set people did a lot of work, Good. So the most important thing about the delay when it came to animation was that it not only ballooned the budget, because the studio had to come back in and give Warner Brothers gave Linklater more money for influx due to production delays due to animation, but it also, most importantly, pushed the release date from September in 2005 to initially what they wanted was May in 2006, but then they pushed it to July in 2006. the same weekend that Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest dropped. And that was just a death knell off the bat.
And if you didn't go to Dead Man's Chest because it was too scary for the kids, it's Pixar's Cars, which was one of the most profitable Pixar movies ever.
Of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. Not in terms of just box office, but later on with merchandise, but also the box office was big. Huge. And it went against those two.
Those two. And then also, like, I do believe it was it the weekend before, the weekend after was X2. No, sorry, X3. The original X-Men series. But still, that was also right. That was also another big blockbuster of that summer. That was just like, yeah, you could not get an independent film to make a dime.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, and when I read that, I was like, the movie itself is not a blockbuster, but you're putting it in summer. Why would you? If you want to push it, maybe push it to like October, November, December, sort of that, you know, that Christmas, you know what, that Oscar kind of vibe to it, where you save it up to the,
would
the
actually
Oscar
be
bait
the best place to actually place it would have been actually the third week in September. That's the death of the blockbuster and into Oscar bait, because it would be that would be the perfect window. And it also would have been only another 2-month delay. They could have made probably at least a couple more $1 million off it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just such a shame. All right, continue. Please continue.
So some more interesting stuff. The score was done completely by Austin composer Graham Reynolds.
Okay.
And Graham Reynolds, Robert Linklater, he actually worked with him before on another small independent project, filming a local Austin band for South by Southwest.
Nice. Okay.
So the tie-in. It's the same
there's
thing
another.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's another tie-in with Austin, Texas, but you go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot more. So what also interesting about the score and also the soundtrack, it includes a lot of different blurbs from Radiohead songs, and one track specifically by Tom York.
I didn't catch that.
And one of the actual initial early screenings had a full Radiohead soundtrack.
Interesting.
You know why they canned it? Couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I was gonna say because Radiohead are pretty adamant on. It's so weird because Radiohead.
And it actually, it wasn't Tom York. It was the record label. The Radiohead, the guys would have been like, yeah, go ahead, because half of their stuff, like, obviously one of their biggest hits from OK Computer, Paranoid Android, is based off of a Philip K. Dick short story. So yeah, they would have been like, yeah, go ahead, use it.
and if I remember correctly, there was one point where after OK Computer, they wanted like their next album. I think they did a full album free to download.
That was 2007's In Rainbows, which they did. It's completely crowdfunded, where on the site when it was there, you could actually buy it for nothing.
Yeah, you could buy it for nothing.
You could buy it for $10,000. You could buy it for whatever you
could just sort of. It's an innovation on what we see today on YouTube, where you can just super chat people or just membership or like on Twitch if you're into that thing. But you can actually get the entire album crowdfunded and get that extra bit later. But yeah, it's interesting way. Never did it again. They never did it again though.
Radiohead was one of the innovators of that. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Next. Animation.
So I was gonna say one thing that's kind of interesting is this with the housing locations and also just the numbers of different locations. One of this is the lodge number that he has his meeting at. Also, Bob Arctor's house, the same number, 709.
Yeah,
that's an homage to the Austin, Texas band Uranium Savages.
Okay, why 709?
Because 709 is one of their considered unnecessary numbers.
beautiful.
It's a very like it's a super deep cut, but it's like that's
You know I love these deep cuts, right?
Yeah.
There's no way I personally am gonna know about that, but it's one of those things that if I catch it on the sort of behind the scenes stuff, I love it so much.
Yeah.
I do. I absolutely.
And I
do.
have so many more notes, but they're interspersed with scenes.
Okay, so I think one of those notes you're saving for me. I'm gonna talk about the animation, just the animation. Okay. You said 18 months. Part of the reason is that the movie itself is shot completely digitally.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about the mentioning of how it was shot with a unique exclusive program called Rotoshop, which is using rotoscope and animation to superimpose the image on top of each other.
Yeah. So
go ahead. Sorry.
The whole thing is the whole process was they shot it shot on location. It was 2004.
Yep.
Then they literally went immediately into post-production, and the post-production team first they had to switch the entire movie into QuickTime. Remember QuickTime?
Yeah.
And then start the animation process on top of that, which they had 5 different teams with 5 different heads of teams.
Yep.
Those are the people who were on set.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual down-to-earth, blue-collared animators were about 30 of them. They were all hired. They did not know how to work with the rotoscope system.
Nope.
They learned.
There was
on the
only
job.
one person who actually knew how to utilize it, and that was the actual person who created the program, who actually had to come in and do consulting work.
Exactly. So they had 30 people on 5 different teams, and at a certain point, Mark Gill, the head of Warner Independent Pictures, which that was the studio because it wasn't Warner Brothers, it was the side Warner Brothers. I don't know if that actual studio exists now. Probably they call it something else.
The Warner Bros. Independent? No, it actually was I think it actually just got subsumed again by Warner Brothers.
I don't know. I know that A24 is now the independent wing of Warner Brothers, so it may be consumed into. It's too much business for me. The thing is, after 3 months, Mark Gill wanted to see something. Like a scene, something. They did not have anything to show him.
Nope. Nope.
Plus, when they did have something to show him, because they worked on 5 different teams, it didn't look the same.
Yep.
So the animation was weird because it just was too janky to move from one look to a different look. That was part of the problem. And by the time they needed a trailer, they actually had people for doing super crunch, and 2 weeks, they worked for about 2 weeks. Some of the animators, not all of them, some of them worked for 18 hours a day for 2 weeks straight in order to make the deadline, to make a trailer so they can actually sell and promote this thing way ahead of time. And that was before the change, because you said something in May. I saw March 31st as the final kind of, we're going to do this on March 31st.
No, March was the quote unquote dream spot date. Was they wanted that date, they pushed it to May. May was supposed to be the drop dead date, and then they had to push it. Well, no, actually they had it ready for May, then they pushed it to July.
But I'm gonna jump backflip again. When you had those 5 heads of the teams and nothing worked, at one point the producer, I forgot to write his name, the main producer was like, "You are done." He locked everybody out from their workstation and told them to go home. And then they brought in two animation creators that were hired separately to head one team and have a coalescent sort of cohesive vision for the movie, and that's where things kind of started to get going. And that is all during that 18-month period that you were talking about. So it went through changes. They went back to Mark Gill to get an extra $2 million just to get the actual work hours in to pay people. But yeah. And then they got royally screwed with the time slot. But yeah. All right, cool. I wanted to talk about something else. Well, I wanted to talk about a specific someone, but I probably think you have it in your notes. Don't
we'll get up there. We'll get up there.
But yeah, let me share my screen, of course. There we go. Okay. So it starts off with this particular scene where
Charles Freck. Yeah,
Charles Freck is sort of weird, and the fact that they have an animation allowed them to do that those cockroaches and bugs and all that stuff that he can't get rid of and keep scratching without actually doing I don't know, CGI bugs or anything. It's sort of a starter shot, so this is your introduction to the movie, and I would think people would not know where this is going at all.
Yeah. And I do have to say, Marley, the dog, what a good boy.
And then you got a familiar face, but apparently nobody recognized that this is RDJ.
No. And this was great because they have the conversation where obviously Charles Freck is going under the paranoid psychosis and hallucinations during his almost like his brain is severing itself, his hemispheres. That's what Substance D does.
Mm-hmm.
So he's seeing the bugs and having just a freak out. So he calls Barris, and Barris being RDJ. And that shot right there was so fantastic because RDJ had them do multiple takes until he got the smoke rings right, because he didn't realize that the animators were going to get the smoke rings right in post.
Yeah.
So they actually used the shot where he got perfect smoke rings.
Nice. And then, of course, we're introduced to this scene where you have this sort of a rep kind of guy who are trying to sell drugs.
This is Fred. Fred works for the undercover division, and he says like, well, if you receive me on the street, I would just be another junkie. You would have an aversion to me. And the scramble suit, what's interesting about that is it goes through different permutations. And what's funny is during this shot when he's standing up there,
mm-hmm.
Philip K. Dick himself as an image pops up in one of the permutations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And the whole point of that scramble suit is to evade surveillance because you're undercover cop. But if you're walking down, technically he's not walking down the street with that suit, but you're so detached from everything else, but you're still working in the system. So the system knows who you are, but they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's really weird on where and how they use this system.
And also it's very, very clear the powers that be that are very much in play, and it comes really more pertinent later when we find out who the actual big villain is at the very end reveal. But with Bob's speech, and also they mentioned the actual flowers that create Substance D, and how
very brief. I had to go back
and how like basically it's like the opium wars. They're actually having a war over it, And what's the most important about that speech is the fact that he says, "I have two little ones," and his hand down there.
Yeah.
And also, but you have that juxtaposed with for Bob. I'll put him as, just refer to him as Bob or Bruce, because later he's Bruce at the end. His inner monologue where he says, "This is the kind of shit that gets people on drugs."
Exactly. And it's so the entire movie is the same kind of dichotomy where you're like, you have that duality between Arctur and Fred, and you have that duality between sort of the people who send you to do this mission and the fact that they have a different agenda as well. And everybody's in play here, along with the fact that everybody's being surveilled. And that's why they have these scramble suits to not be detected by this surveillance system.
And what's most important too is remember the blue flowers, because they come up multiple times. It's a very good setup and payoff, which I thought you'd love if you couldn't remember watching this film before, because it's a brilliant, beautiful setup and payoff.
But it's very subtle. It's super subtle. Because it doesn't point you to what they just said. It kind of comes off very casually. Like I said, I had to go back because as soon as he picked up that flower at the end, I was like, wait a minute. Whoa.
Yeah.
I had to rewind, go back, and I was like, I remember.
Well,
it is very subtle.
The first time he meets the medical docs too. Yeah, it's brought up. But so in between there, because I know you're showing the overall surveillance, which is a great bit that has a little side note too. But in the interim there, we have Charles Freck going to like he has the hallucination where he's driving, he gets pulled over by the cop and gets his brains blown out, basically. Probable cause, fuck it, boom.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's crazy? It comes back around to there. Robin Williams had that joke, where you're so stoned you don't remember leaving your house, or you remember yourself going outside, being arrested. And then when you snap out of it, you're like, you're still in your driveway after smoking a bit too much. It's like, okay.
What's an old joke is during that shot, this is just a fun aside that for more Linklater just basically is like, hey, this is stuff that I like. During the background where Charles is being basically behind, he has his hands behind his back, and the cop's about to shoot him. You see it in the back. There's a big sign that says Tobin, Tobin.
Okay.
It's a callback to artist and homage to the artist Dan Tobin Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, who did a lot of artwork that was called neoclassic punk, and also a lot of stuff that's like trash artwork. So it's just Linklater just like, hey, I like your stuff.
All right. So we kind of skipped over it, but we're going to do it now. It is Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off, we display them, and you guys out there in the chat will have to guess which movie this is. I think you're going to hit this one in the head every single time. Okay. All right. Guys in the chat, I have yet again set the lag to an absolute minimum. So please,
Bruce Campbell has never been this jacked in his whole life.
I know, but that's giving away the movie. God damn it! Not that it matters.
But this is an easy one anyway. Come on.
Well, easy
Paul's
for you.
Got it. Paul would know this.
Yeah, I know. It is, of course, Army of Darkness.
Why you gonna be... This is a movie you said you won't watch.
I don't want to.
It's really good though. And it's
I like the series. I don't want to taint.
It's actually a really, really good subplot that adds more to the series.
Okay.
It's Cowboy Bebop.
It is Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
And it also has one of the most infectious openings. Oh God, the music in that movie's so fucking good.
This movie is mostly known for the one scene that got memed into oblivion. Yep. It is, of course, Downfall.
Yeah.
If you're an Overwatch player, you should know this.
He's not McCree anymore.
He's not McCree anymore. It is Hanoon. Rewatched this recently. Didn't make a review on it.
It's good though.
It's not as good as you remember it.
It's the first one, yeah.
It's not as good as you remember it. It is, of course, Mad Max.
And who was
Paul's
the villain?
On fire today.
Toe Cutter? Huh?
Yeah. It's not a bad movie. It's just not as good as the second
this
one.
poster always freaked me out because Robert De Niro's Photoshop face is so off-putting.
Well, it is what it is. The movie is better than this poster.
Yes. I've got
Let's just
nipples,
say
Greg.
that.
Can you milk me?
Yeah. It's so over the top. The second one, though, was so stupid.
It's so bad.
It went over the top, over the hill, and up the mountain, and then down the mountain.
Yeah, Paul's got it.
And the fact that Barbara Streisand was in the second one was This movie did not do so well. It starred Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah. Paul's got it again. It is the core.
The core. Yeah.
The core.
I hate this fucking movie.
I know you said it many, many times.
I hate this movie so much.
Really? That much?
And it has so many actors that I adore too in it.
It's a cinephile kind of a movie.
Full title.
No, it's Life Aquatic.
It's Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
With Steve Zissou.
Gatorade. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Side note, you have the fucking title in the goddamn.
Fuck. I have to change that. There's a better
you
poster.
You can do it. You can do it. Oh,
you can do it. It is Waterboy. I can't believe they're making a new fucking.
Why?
Not Waterboy, but the other one with Shooter McGavin. They're making a sequel to that. Why?
Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore. Yeah, they're working on a sequel.
They're making a sequel to Happy.
Yep.
It's been nearly 30 years. Let it go.
And the guy, the jackass guy, is dead. He died like last year. What's his name? Not Bob Hope. The other Bob Barker died too.
No, Bob Barker died several years ago.
Yeah. So nobody knows what this is. Oh, my feelings. What is this movie?
Is this Into the Wild?
This is
Wild.
Wild.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie though.
It's a good movie. Yeah, it's a really good movie. Again, one of those movies. There's a moment in it where you're like, man, she's definitely gonna get molested during this trail, and you're like, there's a moment there where you're like, it's gonna go down in a bit.
I do have to give.
And then it doesn't.
Reese Witherspoon the utmost credit for taking that role, because it was completely out of her comfort zone. Because she had only done basically she had done a couple of dramatic roles, but nothing that major. Mostly she was just a romantic comedy girl. So
yeah, kind of.
And also she has one of the best little fun jokes of all time.
I don't remember that, but okay.
Man, did you hear? An Hollywood actress was killed yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With a
all
utensil.
right.
With a knife? No, with a spoon. I
want to jump forward because we won't have enough time to do all the story.
Okay.
We're just
a little side note. During the traffic sign where the ID monitor scene, if you look in the background, the entire script of Blade Runner is on one of the other side screens.
Okay.
It's
I
kind of
didn't
cool.
notice, but okay.
That the conversation about with Barris and Charles Freck at the diner where he can actually see his thoughts of the waitress. Finger top. I'm like,
oh, by the way, there were a few moments of sort of brief topless nudity.
Yeah.
There was no real nudity on set whatsoever.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the same thing where technically there's Keanu Reeves.
There's Winona Ryder basically bare-breasted, but not really.
Well, actually, even when Fred is going over the footage of himself with Connie later, it actually shows, you know, the full frontal male nudity, but there was no nudity. It was just animated there.
Yeah. It was all.
The only thing I wanted to mention about the waitress scene real quick was just Fred. It's like, I've got a lot of problems that no one else has.
Yeah, everyone else has.
Fruit pies are for old ladies.
That was a great line. So the thing is here, I can't have both sides of it, but Fred is there with Hank. They're both working together, yet none of them knows who they actually are until later on when it kind of reveals that Hank is not really Hank, and he does know who Fred is.
Yeah.
But Fred only fracturally knows who Hank is, but not really. And
he has actually no idea.
Yeah. But Hank kind of said, I don't know who Fred is, but between the amount of people that he could be, there's only so many choices. And then he kind of knows who he is, or whatever.
Sander, as a side note, Primus sucks. If you're a Primus fan, you'll get it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to mention too is just also there is one important thing in the coffee shop scene that's a really important quote that Barris says about Substance D. You're either on it or you've never tried it.
Yeah, and it's kind of indicative to everything. Plus the fact that they introduced the what's it called? The New Hope?
New Path.
Yeah. The New Path, where they're the only guys who manage to get people off it.
It would be like if everything was run by the Betty Ford Clinic. Any detox clinic was just Betty Ford, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. That whole scene that I showed before with the fact that Barris comes in with the
with the 18-speed bike. No, it's only got 9 gears. No, it has 8 gears.
Yeah.
It's like we have to go liberate the gears.
And they have that whole scene again with Woody Harrelson kind of plays to his strength as a crazy guy.
Great.
Not really.
Yeah.
He's not really stoned. They're not all of like Keanu Reeves' character seems like the stoner dude, which kind of plays into his strength with the whole whoa kind of thing. Remember? RDJ plays RDJ. And Woody Harrelson plays the crazy version of Woody Harrelson.
But he seems
everybody thinks
RDJ's character Barris is just hyper paranoid. Where again we're like, oh my god, we were too close to this because everything's a freak out. And also one other thing that it's funny too is when anyone brings up D, like how many have you taken today, or how many have you taken? They always say the same thing. Not that many.
Not that many. Yeah. And of course, this scene a bit later, I'm of course jumping through scenes because this is an important focal point. This is the first time we kind of get introduced to these two. He says psychiatrists, but they're not really psychiatrists. They're I don't know what they are, but they're
what they're referred to as medical deputies.
I guess. What they're trying to do is trying to figure out
if his brain is completely fucking fried. That's what they're trying to figure out.
Exactly. And they put him through these tests, and whenever he goes on a tangent, they're like, okay, so just answer this question and we'll continue. And when he tries to explore why they're there, why he's being tested, why he's going through this process,
well, because
they always try to focus him down to what he's doing. Yeah.
Well, because that's what they're doing. Because they're clinically trying to test him. It's not again, like they said, it's not a Rorschach test. It's either there or it's not. That's it.
And I kind of half expected him to like say, well, I'm going to give you the finger and you're going to give me my phone call.
Well, he kind of did though. He kind of did though. Because he's like, it's plastic dog shit, the kind that you can buy and put on someone's pillow. And one of the deputies says, well, you know, if you keep your sense of humor, you might make it out of this. And again, then he has the whole make monologue.
Yeah. And it really is down to sort of like let us know where he is
yeah.
rather than telling these medical guys where he is.
in a way, kind of works out to the fact that he hasn't completely lost his edge yet, because he's still, he's undercover, but he still wants to fuck Donna.
Oh yeah,
he still has it in his mind, and the hyper focus on one of the deputies' faces, the African American female one, where she says, "Buy her flowers. You can buy little blue flowers."
Exactly. That's what I told you. I went back and there's nuggets along the way that kind of points you to the end, but they're so subtle. I don't really consider them a setup and payoff, more like Easter eggs rather than setup and a payoff. Because setup and a payoff is more like, oh, look, it's something. And then when it pays off, it's like, oh, shit.
It's slowly leading you along the path.
Yeah.
They're breadcrumbs.
I guess.
Yeah.
Breadcrumbs or I think more of an Easter eggs because I completely missed them when I rewatched this, and then came to the end, went a rewind because I remembered something, but I didn't remember where it was from.
Yeah. And then we have
the Barris scene where he goes in and he's trying to be an informant and he's trying to get Arctor be arrested.
The faux snitch, yeah. Well, basically, I think he's more part of it. And also, what I'm actually here is I'm trying to think that I can actually be part and I can help you. Can I get an application for employment?
Yeah, he's like, do you want to be what, a cop, or what do you want to be? You don't understand if he wants to be like an official informant, a cop, or whatever. Being in surveillance, it's so that whole conversation is so weird. And I was like, this is a perfect casting for Robert Downey Jr. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
And the weird part is, I was invited to be on a show, not really a podcast, but on a show last Thursday, or this Thursday, sorry. And the guy on the show, Keith, very respectable guy, he said that RDJ's comeback kind of started with U.S. Marshals. I had to correct him. I said, look, he was arrested in 1999. U.S. Marshals was 1998. You're probably misremembering, which is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
The actual comeback was this and Kiss Kiss Bang
Kiss
Bang,
Bang
where
Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came out 1 year before this in 2005. But RDJ's comeback actually started in Scanner Darkly because they shot it a little bit earlier. I didn't say it was shot earlier, but they came out one after the other, and people kind of misremembering things. He was in jail during the start of the 2000s because he was so coked up to the gills.
He broke into someone's house and slept in a kid's bed.
They had to send him into jail, to prison, not jail, but prison for a few years. And when Linklater hired him, I couldn't find information on why, because he did get a script. That means he had an agent, so he was
you want to know why?
Technically in Hollywood jail, but not really.
I can tell you.
You go ahead. Yes.
Because it has a tie-in to another one of my favorite authors.
Interesting. Yes.
One film that we like. One of 3 films we haven't covered by this author yet is Less Than Zero, starring Mr. Robert Downey Jr. The other films are American Psycho.
Okay. And
who's the other Bateman brother?
Oh, and Rules of Attraction. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Linklater loved him in Less Than Zero.
Okay.
And the fact that, if you watch Less Than Zero, you can get the manic behavior. Well, also because Robert Downey Jr. was doing a lot of cocaine on set. Everybody was doing a lot of cocaine on set during Less Than Zero, to be fair.
Because in Less Than Zero, there's snow. Get it? Never mind.
Hey, and they say it'll never snow in Florida.
No, I mean, less than below zero snow.
Little too common. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, putting that aside, I didn't know what was Barris thinking when he made a homemade silencer that did
for
not work.
He said less than 60 cents.
And I was like, oh, I remember this scene. It's about to go off. And when it went off.
I love fucking Woody Harrelson's take on it. Like, yeah, obviously it worked because we're all now deaf.
That's a great joke. And it leads up to sort of Arctur waking up and he has the Beretta behind the, underneath the bed. It was like, okay.
And what's
he
great
is
too is
still a cop in some sort of a way.
Yeah,
and
when he has that flashback to
the
what the house was and his previous life, we're like, wait, you have to realize again, just like in a lot of other films that we've viewed, this is still kind of under the guise of, Bob Arctur being basically our protagonist and our narrator, and he's the most unreliable narrator. So did this actually occur or not?
Exactly. And I said so. I said as much in my review because it all lies on the fact that you kind of count on Bob or Fred to be a reliable narrator, but at some point you realize, yes, his mind is going.
Right.
And we don't know if he's imagining, at this point, we don't know if he's imagining things. We don't know what's going on. And later on, when he has that scene where he is entertaining a woman, but it's
with Connie,
Winona Ryder's character, but it's not, but it is, but it's not.
We're gonna talk about that because there's a lot of interesting things about that scene. One thing I did want to mention is at the very end when Hank mentions, well, Fred or Bob uses the line, I've got two little ones. Where he goes, I don't think you do. And I don't think you know that. Because it's maybe just the fact that he is reading into his backstory too much. Hey, Rains.
Hey, Rains. This is a movie that if you haven't watched, you need to watch.
We'll talk, Rains, we could talk about this film because this film's fantastic. It'll be right up your alley. You'll love it.
Yeah.
So the whole little fucking bit here with their conspiracy over, like, did someone try to fuck with his car when the accelerator was actually broken so it kept going?
Yes.
Then at the side where Barris is doling out caps of D.
Yes.
Because like, no, I'm not gonna take that. Maybe that's fucking us up. And again, junky fucking mentality. Where he goes, no, D didn't come up and mess with your car. And Ernie, Woody Harrelson's character, says, yeah, dude, don't blame the drugs.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, this is so junky talk.
Yeah.
This is so meth head talk to the T.
Yeah.
It not only meth heads, it could be like people who do way too much psychedelics. Maybe coke.
Psychedelic. Well, I mean, like if you're on a lot of window pane acid that for a long period of time, maybe. But other ones, nah. It's not gonna fuck with you that bad.
And one of my favorite moments in this movie, because it feels so detached, but it actually fits. It's the fact that it turns out that Barris leaves the house open.
Oh, I love this so fucking much. Where you're like, oh, don't worry about it.
Let me set this up.
Cameras.
Let me set this up. So he tells them about he's leaving the house open with a note, and when he gets sort of a pushback from Woody Harrelson's character,
Ernie's like, well, why wouldn't they go through the bathroom window? Why wouldn't they go through the back door? It's like, well,
because someone might have left a note.
No, on the door. And he's like, are you fucking with us or not, man? I never know. And then Bob asking him, well, what did the note say?
And he's like,
I wrote, come on in, the door's unlocked.
Coming in, the door's unlocked. And it's like, oh my God. Way to reveal yourself, Barris.
So good.
I loud laughed during that thing.
It's so funny.
It laughed so hard. Someone in the hallway where I worked came by and saw me laughing in the office. Because I was watching it late in the day, watching this, and it's so fucking funny. If you watched if we're telling you about a scene that is funny, it doesn't seem funny. When you watch the movie, it comes off so out of left field, that joke. You're like, oh my God, this is hilarious. This is so much junkie talk. And then you have this hilarious joke kind of wiggled in between, and you're just laughing so hard. And this is why RDJ is such a great actor when he's off the coke. So good. All right. So they get into the house, and they think there's someone
and
in
again
the house.
they have it's all leading from Barris's paranoia fuels their paranoia. So again, when they go into the house, they find the joint that has just recently just been put out, so it's still warm. So they, listen, mate, look, it's still warm. It's still warm. You can smell it.
Yeah. And then they're going to his surveillance system,
which again,
which
again, Ernie again calling him out on his bullshit. Like, guess what? What? It didn't record, right?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, for sure. And then Winona comes in, and the fact that Ernie is holding a bow and arrow with no arrow.
With no arrow. And then several times he's actually pressed it down and then jumped back as it sprung back.
Yes.
Because he's not expecting it. And
yeah, because it's so subtle. Because if you're listening to Barris, it happens in the background.
Yeah. And then they have the rant about selling the house. We're like, yeah, we can put it in there. Yeah, drug stash included. But what kind of drugs? We have to include that.
Yeah, we have to include that in the
listing,
the post, in the listing. Which is again, it compounds it sets up that entire junkie talk from the moment they are stopping in the middle at the side of the road, trying to go to San Diego, and the fact that Ernie's like, we should have gone north because it could have went this way. And Barris is like, no, that's only on Australia.
Yeah. It's like yeah, only on in Australia, on the other side of the world on a bad day.
So moving a bit further away from the house is Fred gets another assignment through Hank. And he has an actual surveillance system that they put in the house because, the house was open to everybody. That's why
because they had asked before, like, oh yeah, by the way, why don't I go ahead and just bring in a uniformed officer and be like, well, we're gonna go ahead and plant stuff in the house.
Yeah, why not? So he is tasked on surveillancing himself and his friends. And
Which
Hank's.
That's why the best bit about it is the fact the scramble suits, quote unquote, work so well, even though by process of elimination, Hank, who is Donna later, that we find out, was able to figure out that Fred was Bob the entire time. The fact that the program works so well that they're making him watch his own house.
And the moment where you realize Hank tells Fred, look, if there are any mistakes, you can just delete them away. And it made it look like it's sort of corrupt in a way.
Well, no, we're like, well, what if you see me actually, changing the cameras? Because again, he's going to be the one doing, once they're installed, they can't just have another person come in and start fucking around in the house. It's going to have to be Bob doing the work. So like, well, all you have to do is edit yourself out, but don't edit yourself out enough. Otherwise we'll figure out you're that person.
And to me, it sort of felt like a 1984 kind of a bit rather than a Philip K. Dick kind of a thing. Yeah. Because I've read a few Philip K. Dick books, like the older ones, and it really felt like throughout this movie, it really felt like, yeah, it's the same. If I didn't know Philip K. Dick wrote the story for this, I would say that kind of feels like a Philip K. Dick kind of a movie. And I mentioned it on my review. It really felt like both Hunter S. Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and this particular movie really have a thing in common, but not really. So they're distinct, but they're very much similar in the way they explore the sort of a drug-fueled journey that one has and the detachment that they have from real life.
So glad that you brought this up, because there was one casting bit that I was waiting to talk about.
Good. Now it's the time.
Do you know who actually wanted to play Bob?
Johnny Depp?
Yep.
Nice.
Because he loved this story, because Philip K. Dick and Hunter S. Thompson were friends.
Yeah, and I said in my review, it was cheeky that Philip K. Dick and Hunter S. Thompson did a race on who's going to go out in blaze of glory first, and Philip K. Dick won by about 20 years.
And the only reason why Hunter went out was because he went on his own accord.
Yeah. I flashed a little bit of that scene where Freck comes into this scene where both Ernie and Barris have a fight. Barris with a hammer and Ernie with a
fix
rock.
the car. They were messing around, and the whole bit was like Freck is so completely, utterly out of his mind. He can't trust anyone. He can't trust anything. So he's slowly starting to lose his mind a bit. So Charles just leaves, and we see Charles in a little bit, and I think that's the scene stealing actual scene of the entire film that we'll talk about in a bit. But in the interim, we have them going over the whole bit about the imposter story, and then the roaches here, which I love so much that Woody Harrelson's Ernie refers to that was Leonardo DiCaprio before he went through his Elvis stage. Because they mentioned Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, they do. They mentioned the fact that they love Catch Me If You Can, which is so random.
Yeah, I know.
I laughed internally
because it was all about imposter syndrome, and they talk about narcs and stuff, and how Bob almost gives himself up.
He kind of does, and then of course that whole scene is giving you sort of like, okay, you know where Freck is in terms of how deep he is in mind separation or the hemisphere separation, as we kind of figure out how deep Bob is with his separation, where he's starting to see cockroaches and bugs and all that stuff. And then, of course, cut to him looking at himself, almost narking on himself in front of his friends, and him have to delete that bit away.
Now,
or implied that it was going to be deleted later on.
Yes.
To sort of like, he kind of knows where things are going to go in terms of the medical personnel that are
what's really interesting there,
keeping tabs with him. Yeah.
On that note, with the cockroaches, this is Linklater's little love note homage to the friendship that Hunter S. Thompson and Philip K. Dick had, because them turning into a roach was a callback to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. During the DA scene, like, the junkie will call this a roach, and you have Dr. Gonzo, and like, I've never seen whoever thought they would call it a cockroach. The fuck are they smoking? I want some of that.
Yeah.
At the DA's convention, where they're sitting in the background doing coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during that, sort of after he kind of, maybe it's implied, like I said, it's implied that he kind of deleted that part. He sees Ernie almost dying.
Yeah.
And Barris being very, let's say, nonchalant.
Yeah.
And not he's like looking at him. He's like, is he dead? Is he not dead? Should I call the EMTs? And then he kind of finally calls the EMTs. But then Ernie springs up to life, and Barris is like, no, we don't need it, and he shuts it down.
It's like you're a cat without whiskers caught behind the back of the fridge.
And having Fred literally screaming at the screen to, come on, Barris,
Frank,
just call the EMTs, do something.
Come on, do something.
And then Ernie is like, don't you know how to do the Heimlich?
You're the only person in the world who doesn't know how to do the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah. And then we have, I think, the weirdest suicide, maybe not suicide scenes ever.
It is canonically, it's a failed suicide. And the best bit about this too is it's Leif Richardson. He's the one who does the narration for this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, Philip K. Dick did a reading of this entire scene.
Wow.
For radio in 1976, and Linklater wanted to use his actual voice for it, but the audio was too corrupt, and that they couldn't artifact it right, so they had to bring in somebody in. But the guy who did the voice is phenomenal. But, yeah.
He has an Ayn Rand book
because they're like, well, he wanted to die with a certain amount of artifacts on him. One was his letter to ExxonMobil for canceling his gas card.
Yeah.
And a copy of Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, so he could make a statement to the world.
Some sort of a political statement against the surveillance state, and it links towards a fucking phenomenal bit, because
what's great in just a minute too is as he goes, well, also junkies like him in his world, well, they off themselves all the time, so this was commonplace, wasn't a big deal. But he realized he wanted a connoisseur wine, not just Nightbird. Thunderbird or Ripple,
whatever it was.
So he went down to the liquor store, and actually at the liquor store, there is actually, if you look at it when he scans by the bottles, an Ubik winery, which is a callback to another Philip K. Dick story.
Yep, Ubik.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like I said, it flows. It really flows perfectly to this.
Oh, the creature.
Because the Ayn Rand thing flows into this. Now,
I gotta say, the creature.
Wait.
Come on,
guys. Who do you think this is?
Yeah.
Before we kind of.
It's so fucking funny.
Shut up.
It's so fucking funny.
Come on, guys. I know you're in the chat. I know you're mostly listening.
In another one of Robert. He was in another Linklater films. His earlier film before this, as well.
Yeah, this guy is very important. It's not AJ.
Oh,
it is actually, AJ. Sorry, it is AJ. Yeah,
it is.
I was like, AJ. What's AJ? No, yeah, definitely. To me, when I saw the Ayn Rand thing, didn't even think about it. But then I saw this and was like, is it him?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, it's him. Oh, the Ayn Rand thing really fits because it flows from Freck into this, where they put Alex Jones, yes, this is Alex Jones, into a van to silence him up. And I was like, that is very weird.
Very funny. Yeah.
Very weird.
Funny, though. Well, it's funny, too, is Meph, he was in another role like this in Linklater's film that was released before this.
Waking Life, it's called.
Yeah.
The fact that they put him in a van,
black bag him and put him in a van. Yeah.
Black bag him, put him in a van. It's exactly what he is known for.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's why he agreed to do this, because it's a cameo. They were already in Austin. Pretty sure it took them less than a couple of hours to shoot this, because it's basically a throwaway scene. But the guy who is playing, he is generally playing himself, complaining about the government being too much surveillance, controlling our lives. He is pointing at big pharma-ish, not really. He's talking about new path at a very Alex Jonesian way. And it's sort of weird because a lot of the stuff Alex Jones said over the last 4 years, he really hit on the nail, which is very weird because he's off. He is off. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But he was correct in like 80% of what he said. And it's very weird. And he was also correct as the character in this movie.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks he's a kook because the way he presents himself.
Well, because he's essentially a screaming street prophet, where the end is nigh kind of person. Yeah, that's
a doomsayer of sorts.
Yeah.
I found it so prophetic that he did this, and then we have what we have today. But we'll let it go.
I think he went a little bit off the deep end.
A little bit.
Maybe just a little bit.
Let's just say, don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
Don't believe the hype. But
so
the man was correct in his weird and wacky way.
Okay. I did want to roll back just real quick, just for the scene of Charles Freck's quote unquote suicide, his hallucination with the creature, because it has two of the best lines in there. Like, so you're gonna read my sins for the end of time, right?
Yes.
Yep. Your sins will be read to you ceaselessly in shifts for all of eternity.
Which I find it a very weird, very plausible way of being in hell.
In hell, or is this purgatory?
Purgatory. I was going to say purgatory, not hell. Yeah.
So
very.
But then the narrator comes in 1,000 years later, because they went through a shit. 1,000 later, they reached the 6th grade, the year he discovered masturbation.
Yes.
and then he went, and Charles Freck thought, well, at least
that's gonna take a while.
Wine.
Yeah. Oh, youth. So the thing is this, Bob, the way that this Alex Jones character, which is Alex Jones, is presented is because Bob was walking down the street and he came across this guy and he kind of didn't realize where he was at a certain point. And of course, Winona Ryder's character, Donna just came out and picked him up.
Which is why you'd think that maybe he'd be clued in a little bit as to maybe like he's being tagged and surveilled, because how would Donna know unless he didn't obviously previously call Donna before to pick him up. So it's there's a little plot hole there. The story makes a lot more sense because he actually did contact Donna beforehand before he saw the prophet. So
he said he's gonna probably try and contact her, and then he is in contact with her because she came to pick him up. And it makes sense because he doesn't have a car. His car is wrecked. They were trying to fix the car. They know what the problem is, but they don't know how to fix it because they were trying to fix it with a fucking hammer. But we'll put that aside. The fact that he goes to her place and he's like, oh, this is my chance. I'm going to get with her. But then she kind of shuns him away. She says, no, I don't want to do it. And she drives him back home for some reason.
No, she doesn't. That's the thing.
She doesn't?
There's no actual definition of how Bob gets back home in the film. Because Bob leaves after he gets rejected from
that's right.
Donna.
And it flows
They have the conversation outside where at the end of it, Donna says, well, I have a dream at one point in time. I want to move up somewhere where we can be far away from all of this up north. And he asks, can I go with you? And she says, whispers, I hope so.
Yeah.
And then it goes right into Bob and Connie, the other girl, in
and it kind of implies that she's a hooker, but it's not.
Maybe a hooker, or maybe just somebody that Bob had helped deal with before?
Or a sort of I'll give you substance
drugs
D and you will give me a blowjob kind of a thing.
Something like that. Yeah.
And when he wakes up, again, I can't really show it, even though it is animation.
Sorry. The one thing I did want to mention is Bob does have kind of a crisis of conscience there, where he is clearly in tune with the fact that things are completely out of hand when he even tells Donna, and they were like, "I think it's getting bad, and I can't control it."
And he wakes up and he sees Donna, and then he sees Connie, and then he sees Donna, and he just.
And what's so great too is the fact that this is more pertinent to the story than the film, but I love that Linklater kept it in there. Connie has a necklace on there with the initials MG on there. MG.
Okay.
In the novel, Donna drove an MG.
Oh, okay.
And it was a callback to the car as a way of how he got to this point. So again, all that cognitive dissonance that he's going on, like his brain is basically turning himself apart. Like he doesn't know what's real anymore.
And I can't really show it, but the one thing that he does is he either sees a vision or there's a hologram thing that shows Donna naked on the bed, but it kind of is isolating just her.
Yeah, so when he's reviewing the footage, like even the footage in his mind is distorted, where it's Connie, then it turns to Donna. So you still have that lingering thought of, was that Connie or was that Donna the whole time?
And what he chooses to do is to delete that from the record, just to make sure they won't know about this connection that he might not have, even though he is Bob, not Fred.
Yeah.
At that point where he slept with her, or did he sleep with her? It only implied. And then, of course, he has another set of tests where they give him something to, remember where to press and all that stuff.
So this is so funny. This is a direct tie-in into the VKM1 test from
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
From
how
Blade
you
Runner,
determine whether or not a person is either a human or an android. Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't mention the apple, though.
No, they don't.
And when he steps out, there's a moment where he kind of finishes. He's annoyed with the medical team, even though they're trying to help him. But he is losing his connection with reality because the medical team is not the same, but it is the same. Sort of the same way with Connie and Donna.
Well,
right?
No, because the African-American person switches from a male back to the original female. So, yeah, his mind is completely just severed.
Yeah. And so he goes back in the house and he sits down on the couch and he... what am I doing?
What's most important when he's walking down there, he has a complete and total bit of total disassociation, where he's walking down like, oh, no, I know Bob Arctor. He's a good person. What do you mean? Bob Arctor? I'm Bob Arctor. Arctor, he works for the police as an undercover agent. He's obviously a good person. That's why Barris is after him. And the Scanner Darkly bit too is fantastic.
Yeah. Of course. You know what? We'll do a little bit of a stop here because the next one is basically him going back into the medical team and the whole Barris connection.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do a second game of the night. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1. Fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Friday evening, Saturday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. Two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? I found a great combination.
So what's so fucking good is the fact that RDJ and Woody Harrelson.
Wait, it's even better than that. Cape Fear or Natural Born Killers. Natural Born Killers, Woody Harrelson, RDJ, but also Juliette Lewis, who plays the daughter in Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Give us your take. Which one would you like to watch?
I'm one of those people that, and also Quentin Tarantino wrote Natural Born Killers.
Okay.
And it was also directed by Oliver Stone.
Okay.
I know that people kind of shit on Natural Born Killers, but I really, really love that movie.
Who shits on Natural Born Killers?
It's hyper violent in a way that in a lot of scenes are very superfluous, but I really, really like that movie a lot.
Mean lefty liberal fucks shit. No, just kidding.
I do still think that Cape Fear is probably De Niro's best menacing performance of his entire career. And that's saying a lot. I mean, Cape Fear is a fantastic film, don't get me wrong, but I would watch Natural Born Killers. And also, you get to see one of the greatest comedians get murked on camera. Because in the end, he got no respect.
I think I would watch Natural Born Killers. They're both great. And De Niro plays a great Hannibal Lecter who is not Hannibal Lecter in Cape Fear. It's the same kind of character, but not really, because he's not as smart. Natural Born Killers is such a unique movie that people need to watch if they haven't. RDJ playing an Australian documentarian is one of the funniest. He is one of the funniest bits in that movie.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there are so many parallels between that character and Barris. It is unreal. You have to watch both of them. And to be fair, Woody Harrelson, this is his breakout movie coming from Cheers, because White Men Can't Jump, that came in, I think, before this, a couple of years before this,
it was good 92. It was a good movie, but also he was still kind of in a comedy drama role. This was completely. This is not the good fucking dumbass buddy from Cheers anymore.
Yeah, where you kind of see parallels between the dumb guy in Cheers and the not really dumb guy, but really still dumb guy in White Men Can't Jump. You can see the parallels, but then breaking into this role and going all psychotic. Yeah, I would Natural Born Killers. Easy. Juliette Lewis is crazy in both of them.
Yeah.
Predators or The Help?
Ugh.
You don't like The Help, do you?
It's fine.
Okay.
I think the story's good. I just, it's one of those films you watch it once and you're like, okay, I got it. Uplifting story, cool. Do I want to turn that on a Saturday afternoon? No. Predators the same way. Like no. It's not a good movie either. No, but there are some funny bits in it, I guess.
Fine, you pick the Predators. The audience picked the Predators. I'm gonna pick The Help, but I'm just me. Okay, I have not seen It Happened Tomorrow, but I did see Witch Academy for some reason. Holy shit.
Oh, that's very, very, very easy. It's The Perfect Storm. That's actually a really good movie.
I didn't really like The Perfect Storm, but Witch Academy is so dumb. Fantastic Four or The Mist.
Oh my God, I want to talk about one of the greatest adaptations of all time, and that's a great Japanese poster for The Mist. The Mist.
The Mist?
So good. So good. So good. Oh my God. I have to give the utmost credit. The final scene is one of the most heartbreaking scenes in cinema.
Was that in the supermarket or was that came before?
No, that's after they all kill themselves.
Yeah.
And
I know which one. Okay.
And they realize, oh, it's help coming in. Like, oh.
The Fantastic Mist, says Sandra. Like, I'm gonna pick The Mist because I'm pretty ambivalent to both.
And it's actually it's actually a more faithful adaptation to the actual Stephen King story too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hitman or Arrival. That's going to be our. No, you know what? We'll do another pair after this.
We are on a roll of bad fucking movies.
It's not my fault.
I'm only going to go with Hitman because I'm a big fan of Timothy Olyphant. I don't think the guy really ever got his credit. I mean, outside of Justified, he got just shafted on a lot of really, really bad roles.
Do you think Hitman is a good adaptation of the video game?
Series? No.
Yeah, me neither. It's not. They cannot get it right.
No.
Arrival, to be honest,
Sander is absolutely right.
I thought Arrival would have a much punchier ending.
Yeah.
The ending was so, I don't want to say bad, but off kilter of what you were trying to say throughout the movie.
Yep.
It completely threw me off.
It was the antithesis of the entire meaning of the narrative. Yeah. And also Sanders right too. It was very boring.
It's boring. It's meandering. And people who don't like Dune Part 2, I refer them to The Arrival. It's the same way where it just takes too goddamn long to make a point.
Ooh, that's them fighting words.
Denis Villeneuve, dude. All right, last one. College road trip.
Can we please do a re-roll on these? Because I hate the fact that I wanted that I would have liked to say.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Okay.
That's a great pair to finish up.
Okay.
Dazed and Confused, which ties into this movie, and The Chronicles of Riddick. This is the second Riddick movie after Pitch Black.
This is when we actually get into the Riddick-verse. Yes.
Yes.
Vin Diesel calls it the Riddick-verse.
Yes.
No one else does.
Yeah. You keep what you kill. That is the necromonger way.
Yes.
Or.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say something else, but
Hey,
we have it in
I like
the
high
intro
school
now.
girls. You know why? I keep getting older, and they stay the
same age. I love that line so much.
You guys got any weed? Be a lot cooler if you did.
All right, which one? Dazed and Confused?
Even though that is a Japanese poster, and I think the Chronicles of Riddick is actually a fun movie.
It is.
Every single day of the week, it would be Dazed and Confused, because I swear to God, if you watch that movie and at the end you don't want to listen to Foghat, something is wrong with you as a person. You are broken inside.
I don't know who Foghat is, but we're going to keep this.
Yeah.
Paul says it very concisely and to the point. Villeneuve is a mediocre director, but a great cinematographer. Correct.
Yeah.
You know who also is a mediocre director and a great cinematographer? Zack Snyder. I don't want to hear anything more.
Hold on. Let me do that. Let me do the Snyder cut. You know who's
All right. Let us finish up.
Oh, and also, you know who also is a great cinematographer but a terrible director? Lens Flare McGee.
Oh yeah.
J.J. Abrams.
You mean Lens Flare JJ? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, this is after the test where he comes in and Arctur or Bob or Fred or whatever you want to call him realizes that something is really off, and he kind of expresses it to these medical tech guys, and they don't understand him, which makes me think that this conversation is not happening for real. It's happening in his head.
Well, no, the medical examiners are actually explaining what's occurring to him, where, basically the two hemispheres of your brain are no longer communicating.
That's what I'm saying. That's
the
exactly
gas
what I'm
gauge
saying.
analogy I thought was really apt with what his current condition is. And also that's actually in the story too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they kind of tell him, well, we might need to shut off one side, which is a lobotomy.
Bottomy, yeah. And the other one's like, well, that also, I don't know, it may fix itself. We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
Shrug.
Yeah.
Shrug emoji over here.
And then, of course, we have this conversation where Fred isn't in the room, and then he walks into the room.
Yeah, the room with where Hank is listening to the tape of the quote unquote recording that Barris has of Bob talking to Donna.
Yeah.
About a planned terrorist attack, where it's like,
yeah. And it's sort of like Hank says to him, this all well and good, but it's not evidence. Yeah, we need more evidence.
We need well, is this the summation of what you have? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you under arrest right now for falsifying evidence just as a front. And as he leaves, what does he say? He says,
I don't remember.
He says, well, if as I'm going, can I get a bottle of lotion? And that's all you hear.
Yeah.
This is the door.
And this thing is, as soon as Fred kind of sits down and talks to Hank, Hank is like, yeah, we wanted Barris because we kind of think it's him.
No, the whole bit was first the premise of Hank trying to ease him to the realization of what's actually occurring. It was like, well, what do you think of what the evidence that Barris has brought before us? And Fred, still under the guise that he does not know that he's Bob, said, well, I think it could be legitimate, and if so, then Bob Archer's in some real shit.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, it's falsified. It's easily something that he created on his computer, and then then they're talking about the false recording, and then he opens up this file. Goes, is that my file? Is what it say? Well, that you're completely bonkers.
Yeah. And there's a sort of a close-up shot, and it is throughout the movie of you see Keanu Reeves's face underneath this camouflage suit, and it is animated, but you can see through those eyes the realization that something is very wrong.
Yeah,
very, very wrong.
And we have the whole bit where essentially, like,
from here, it actually rose up rather quickly.
Yeah.
Everything kind of unravels in a way.
Is right here is there. This is like the end of everything, and also the summation of not only how disposable Bob is, but how disposable people are in this entire kind of quote unquote drug war. Because as he mentions, well, you'll see that when you get your paycheck, there'll be a significant amount changed. What, am I getting paid for this? No.
Yeah.
No. You became an addict on duty. That's a misdemeanor charge. You could either get charged or you're going to go to prison. You're probably going to just only get a charge though, but just wanted to let you know this.
Yeah. And then of course,
and he also has the whole little line too, where Hank, again, I'm using air quotes, you can't see them.
Yeah.
But he says, well, I have kids and I have to take care of my kids. And Fred using that whole line back where you don't know whether or not it's real or not, the hallucination that he had as Bob. Does he have kids or not? Because I have 2 little ones. And this one he says, I don't think you do.
Yeah, exactly. And then when Hank, there are a few scenes where Fred goes into that room and he takes off the suit, and you can see it's him. Now Hank goes into the same room, takes off his suit. Oh, it's Donna.
It's Donna.
It's not really Donna because she has a different name.
Her name's Audrey.
And everything kind of falls into place where, okay, he has not only been set out, but because he went crazy.
It was a little bit too obvious too, because it was Hank calls Donna.
It wasn't obvious to me, okay?
Yeah. Well, the fact that like, oh yeah, well, she's gonna be there and get you there in 5 minutes. Like, I don't know. No, it's a little too convenient, but.
But the fact of the matter is, she, as Donna, decides to take care of Bob or Fred or whatever, and she takes him to New Path. Right?
And it was it gets
because it's the only place that you can take
detox
an addict and detox him. But she knows he'll never get over it because they know the substance D is a drug that you cannot go back from.
Well, and the main thing too is the fact that it's Donna talking to Bob in a way because again, Bob only knows her as Donna. So she's under the whole thing where she says like, this is goodbye. She is feeling that loss already because she's already know that she's damned him. And when she has that conversation with the person at the coffee shop later, it was all just a setup the entire time to basically get a plant inside.
Yeah, but as soon as Bob goes in, you can see like sort of shadows from the past because he's there, but he's not really there. He's cleaning the halls, and this guy's talking to him, and he's robotically repeating after the guy.
It's also like what kind of drug cocktail they have them now to keep them pliant and complacent, and also you see Charles Freck is in his group at the home there,
and he doesn't really recognize his face at all. He doesn't know where he is or who this guy is.
And also, did you listen to the entire spiel that they had during the inside bit there, where the inorganic life is more important than the organic life and all this stuff? So
and I really had those Matrix vibes again.
It's more of a tie into the fact like what they're doing is they're building drones, brainless husks, to work the fields. And you think about it, it's really ingenious.
And the thing is, they ease you into this whole thing where they send him off as sort of you've been cured,
Bruce.
right?
Yes, Bruce. No. We're sending you off to the farm. But can I work with animals? No. I want to work with something alive. But the earth is alive, Bruce.
Yeah, and it feels like they know that he's brain damaged. That's why they're talking to him in very specific tone of voice and very specific way, just to make sure. And as soon as he kind of, the farmer eases him to his domicile,
4G.
You kind of realize,
remember 4G.
Yes. Kind of realize that he puts him in this box, and this box looks like a prison. I mean, look at it from this
angle. It looks
angle.
like a solitary confinement cell.
It's solitary confinement prison, but the fact that he's brain damaged and he doesn't know where he is, he wouldn't know the difference. Exactly. That's where I'm going to. That's where I was going to say. And then, of course, after he gets locked up, before that final bit of revelation.
Well, just the one bit when he's talking to the caretaker at the farm too. He was like, "Well, can I see my friends again?" Oh, the ones back at the New Hope facility? Well, no. Well, you can go see them in, you get yearly couple of visits on the holidays, like Christmas. The next one will be Thanksgiving, and that's in 3 months. Okay, 3 months. Yep. Well, and also I kind of laughed at myself watching this again because I hadn't watched it in a couple of years. For some odd reason, I just thought of Anchorman.
Why?
I like the mountains. I like air. We all like air, Bruce.
It's that last bit of revelation where you realize his actual name is really Bruce.
Yeah.
Bob.
And she's Audrey. Yeah.
Never existed.
Bob didn't exist. Fred didn't exist. No.
Yeah. Fred didn't exist. This is Aubrey. And she has she has do they mention the guy's name? I don't remember.
No. But he must have been that he tried to get in the New Path being like not completely fucking fried, and they closed him out.
Yeah, exactly. And we kind of get to realize, they did this to him on purpose. And he is an agent, but he didn't know he was an agent because if they would have told him, it would have messed everything up because he would probably won't agree to do it because everyone on this substance D get their brain fried forever.
That, or also he would have just managed to just somehow blurt it out at some point in time. By the way, I'm here to find the flowers.
Yeah.
You know, just some random gibberish that he would speak out. But
and then, of course, when he's working the fields, when you see him walk, you don't see the flowers. I love that bit of sort of revelation where he's walking through the fields, and it kind of looks like he's spraying against, you know, pests or you know, the weeds or something that grows. And then, of course, when he realizes where he is and the revelation of what he is doing, and he leans down and picks up the flower as you hear the conversation between Aubrey and her operator is. Yeah.
Well, the most important thing to do is the New Path executive in there with the farm operator.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, that's the new flower. No, stop worshiping it. You've had enough. It's not your time anymore.
Yeah, I found that fucking sinister because again, it harkens back to the guy, the doomsayer, the Alex Jones character / real Alex Jones, saying that this is happening, but he doesn't know all the details. So he's just he is being Alex Jones, embellishing on everything. He is on the mark, but he's so far off. He's just there's too much noise, and because he's almost on the mark, he's being black bagged and get the fuck out of there.
Out here, yeah.
And this is why, because they have so much power in terms of finance and all that stuff.
Well, that also
hide everything.
It's mentioned earlier as well in the lodge hearings too that they have government sponsorship. So, hello.
And remember, this is set in an maybe altered universe.
It's an alternate universe because this is supposed to be 2013.
Yeah, kind of. And also,
no, literally by the year is supposed to be 2013 when this is happening. Yeah.
And I think at this point, America lost the Cold War or something.
No, they still won. The Cold War still ended the way that it did, but they got into basically they lost the quote unquote drug war with the way.
Oh, the drug war. Yeah. That's what I remember reading about this, but yeah.
The way that it is
not
right
the Cold
now,
War, sorry.
The way that it is right now, 20% of the population is addicted to substance D.
Damn.
That's an astronomical amount of people. That's over 120 million at the time of the census. That's crazy.
Yeah. And there's that moment where the revelation of how big are these fields, and it kind of again it's cornfields. At least that's how it's painted. I'm guessing it was actual cornfields where they shot this.
Yeah,
it's all cornfields where you wouldn't
think.
You would think there's cornfields, but it hides the real underneath the purpose of what's going on.
And also for anyone who's driving by it, like, oh, that's a New Path field. People that are working there, they're either just regular day laborers or farmers, or they're people from New Path trying to get a new set on their life. So again, for the modern person who isn't an addict, they wouldn't even register as anything different, And then we have
the list. Now, I wanted to ask you, couldn't find any information. Is this the list from Philip K. Dick?
Yes.
Or Richard Linklater?
From Philip K. Dick.
Is it in the actual book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
side note. By the way, horrific. Pretty horrific.
It's really horrific, and also with the music, you kind of tear up a little bit at the end. You're like,
Yeah, it leaves you with a sour taste, but I think Linklater did it on purpose. That's what I'm.
Oh yeah, because it was supposed to be at the end too, where even the operator talking to Audrey says, if things go the way that we want them to, the people in our future, our children's children, will never know the times that we dealt with, the horror that we dealt with, the people that we lost.
So. And that kind of brings us to the end. I'm really happy we covered this movie.
I am too, but
first of all, it's a very unique story. Philip K. Dick's stories are super unique, and I think none of the other movies that are based on his work actually did service to what he was writing. So I've read Electric Sheep.
It's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which became
I've
Blade
read
Runner,
that.
yeah.
I've actually read that before. Has nothing to do with Blade Runner, really.
No.
If you read Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, it kind of feels like this story, but they're not talking about the same thing, but the way it's written, the way the narrator talks about drug use and all that stuff, it really feels like this movie. I haven't read A Scanner Darkly. I might go and actually get the audiobook and read it.
I would highly recommend it. Yeah.
But from what I've read, it is very, very close. It's not, it's based on, it's not the book, but all movie based on books are really an adaptation of, and it's really hard to get everything, because not everything is visual or cinematic enough.
I was going to say, I think this is one of the most faithful adaptations, and also if you get I think the most recent version of the audiobook is actually narrated by the same person who does the narration of Charles Freck's quote-unquote failed suicide.
Cool.
So I do believe that's the case.
Okay.
There may be a new version since then, but yeah.
I'll check it out. I'm actually, it's one of those movies where I actually do want to check out the book and see sort of the differences, because that happened to me with Starship Troopers, by the way, where I didn't read Robert Heinlein. I just watched the movie because it's a fun little movie. It's
so different.
I was 16, 17. I was like, I didn't even know it was based on a book back in the day. Only later on, I think after I went, I left the army, I was like, oh, that really? There's a book? Okay, let me sort this thing out. Had the book physically, didn't read it, and then I got the audiobook much later on, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting how it was this, and then it became this.
Yeah.
And when I did the research about the movie, and I saw that it's the most faithful that you can be, and I know how Philip K. Dick works, and I thought, okay, let me see, and I now really want to read the book. It made me want to pick it up and read the book, and I do urge people. Hopefully, you maybe saw the start of the podcast or just saw the whole thing. Trust me, even that little twist at the end, it is worth watching the movie by yourself and get all the little things that are happening in the movie that you don't get from just watching us talk about it. It is very, very unique. Feelings?
Yeah, I agree. As we mentioned before, it's definitely the most, the most faithful adaptation of any of Philip K. Dick's work. I think it's probably one of the most faithful of most adaptations I've seen. I would have to say, also, it's a completely unique experience that hasn't been done or replicated since, for obvious reasons. Mostly because the Rotoshop concept that was the program that was used actually was discontinued, and it was actually superseded by a different program that made it significantly faster. That probably would have saved a lot of people a lot of time and also their jobs. But I would say that if you want a very unique, different kind of introspective look at the drug user experience that isn't Hunter S. Thompson, this is it.
I'm like I said, already did the review, which is a new thing for me to cover a movie that I already reviewed. I thought about it a lot. It took me a while to write the script for the actual video that is on the channel. Is the fact that it's such a unique movie or such a unique experience that no one has done it quite the same way in terms of rotoscoping since its release and even before it's released. There were moments in The Lord of the Rings, they did use live action and then rotoscoped it in, but it's 76 or 8 rotoscoping. And it's very, I watched a few moments where they did that just to have a little bit of a reference. It did come up in my research. It's a total different kind of way of rotoscoping.
It's superimposing rotoscoping that Rotoshop use. So like it's completely. This is why this is such a unique. Just on someone who actually enjoys films, this is a very, very unique film because this is the only time that this probably will ever be utilized ever.
I think Fire and Ice wasn't shot real life, but I'm not sure. I have to go back to it. Fire and Ice is one of those things where I need to go back to it.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not really rotoscoping. There are moments in Fire and Ice where you have rotoscoping with real life. It's more akin to the stuff that you get from Lord of the Rings kind of bit. But in terms of a unique style, this is definitely a one and done. And the story, even though it's a little bit crazy, a little bit drug-filled, it's not really stoner, but it's more like a junkie kind of a thing. It kind of stands out there as a very unique story, very unique cinematically. Nothing that it's been done ever since. And sort of really worth the time. And it's not overly long and it goes by fast. It really does.
Well, literally soup to nuts. It's 140 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it.
104, not 40.
Sorry. Yeah. 1 hour 40 minutes.
Yeah.
100 minutes.
Whatever. It really does not feel overly long, but it's a very, very unique storytelling, and visually, it's one of a kind. And worth your time. Okay, enough. We said it enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us today. Next week, we kind of mentioned RDJ.
Do you want to see Robert Downey Jr. again? Because tune in.
Because next week, we're going to discover or rediscover Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. RDJ, Val Kilmer, all that good stuff. I cannot wait to rewatch this again this week.
Meph, we've been talking about this film for at least 4 years.
Yeah.
And we have never covered it.
Yeah. So this is the time. Go pick up Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, watch it or rewatch it.
And trust me, if you haven't watched it yet, you are in for a treat. It's so fun.
It is. And remember, guys, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. Congratulations, Jillian H. Goodbye. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.